more than 500 million Facebook users' personal information has appeared on the internet again after a breach in 2019.
Cybersecurity experts have called it absolute negligence from Facebook.
It's absolutely a massive deal. Facebook is completely irresponsible in its actions.
Some of the data appears to be current, and according to a Business Insider report, it says that some of the leaked phone numbers still belong to the users.
Do you think that this breach goes beyond Facebook into other social media? And do you think that information can ever truly be private and secure?
All of these videos came after Facebook's big data breach in 2019, and it's not even their only major data breach. The personal data of over 530 million Facebook users was leaked, which was not only a major privacy violation, but it showed the dangers of putting a lot of power into the hands of a few people. When important data is all centralized in one place, it's vulnerable. But the Web3 era of the internet strives to move away from this. I'd say the biggest problem with Web 2 era social media is the centralized power, is that all of our data is in the hands of platforms like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of these platforms that might not have our best interests in mind. Because these platforms have so much of our data, they get to control how it's used and where it goes, leading to a lot of things like targeted ads and the selling of information to third parties. It's crazy to think about the way social media companies are making profit off of us when we're actually the real value of social media. In Alex Tapscott's book Web3, Tyler Winklevoss, the co-founder and CEO of Gemini, shares that in the Web 2 economy, creators are paid in likes. Likes, he says, are abstracted as a form of money, the extracted layer between getting paid and the influence you've built up. What Web3 proposes is more personal data ownership and more payment for the work that you contribute. Another great quote from Tapscott's Web3 reads, "YouTube would have no value or utility if no one was uploading videos to it. Same with Spotify, but the network effects of these platforms have been durable. That's what keeps people coming." Typically, content is free and great, and the platforms work well as the networks are small and growing. Once they achieve some network effect, the dynamic of the relationship shifts to one of extraction. Basically, if you like what a service has to offer, you probably want to contribute to it. And even though you're adding value to these social media platforms with your contributions, you're not getting paid for it. Yet these social media companies are just getting richer and richer and taking more and more of your data in the process. But the Web3 era of social media proposes a place where users actually paid fairly for their contributions to various platforms. A simple real-life example to think about it, it's kind of like when you contribute to Google Maps. If you contribute to their content as a local guide, you get rewarded with an increase in your level as well as a few other benefits. Web3 could work kind of in the same way, where users are getting some kind of token or reward for the work that they're putting into these platforms. One thing we see that's different about the coming of the Web3 era, rather than the previous eras of the internet, is we're seeing more decentralized social media platforms. For example, Bluesky, a new form of social media made to replace Twitter or X, has recently grown in popularity. Bluesky takes a different approach from Twitter because it's open source, meaning that, in theory, you'd be able to take all of your data from Bluesky and move it to another platform similar to it, once enough of those similar platforms exist. Although Bluesky tends to be seen as a more ethical alternative to Elon Musk and to Twitter, it seems like loyal Twitter users are still hesitant to jump to what's uncertain. Senior SU student Chloe Casey has been a casual user of Twitter for years, but recently she's found herself increasingly unhappy with both the platform and its owner.
So I've had a Twitter account for a pretty long time, but I haven't used it as much as I have probably in like the past couple of years, just because I haven't been like as interested in the things like I've been seeing now.
While Casey isn't exactly a fan of Musk, nor is she a fan of seeing his posts at the top of her feed every time she opens up Twitter, she says it's still not enough for her to consider a decentralized social platform like Bluesky.
Since Twitter changed to X, I haven't liked the direction that X has been going in since then. I feel like since Elon Musk has like taken over Twitter, like I've seen a lot more of his like personal posts, which I feel kind of like contradicts what he's been saying, because he wants it to be more like individualized and like give the media back to the people. I feel like platforms like Bluesky, which it's like moving in like a new direction of like the web, but isn't as like popular now, so I feel like I wouldn't like switch over to that platform or like only switch over to that platform, because I feel like I'd miss out on things that I do see on like Twitter and X, just because it has such a mainstream like following and like everybody is on Twitter.
Casey even shares that she's so loyal to centralized social media that she might not even get off Twitter if they had a major data breach like Facebook's.
On the topic of like data breaches and like security. And I know like with Facebook's history, like they did have like a major data breach, but I don't really know like if I would switch over to Blue Sky for like those reasons unless something like really, really major happened with Twitter. But like I'm not sure like how big of a scandal it would take for me to like switch over to using that platform.
While Casey's excited by the possibility of taking her data from Blue Sky to other social media platforms, she worries about what might happen if Blue Sky decides to make other social media platforms themselves.
So I like with how Blue Sky, like you could take your data and like bring it over to like different platforms, but I don't think that it like the future should only be like Blue Sky platforms that are out there, because then that also creates like its own bubble, and that's not like a good, I don't think that's like a healthy balance in like the media. I feel like that would be like similar to like what's happening with like Meta and like Facebook and how they're like owning and controlling like the media and your information.
While it's hard to say for sure what exactly social media will look like in the Web3 era, especially as it continues to decentralize, it's definitely fun to imagine. Maybe other platforms like Blue Sky will come along, and maybe those other platforms will have a way of rewarding users for their contributions, as well as giving them more access to their own data, allowing them to take it to a variety of other platforms. Really, the possibilities are endless, but it's important to think about this future because it's not too far off.